SCHD is Charles Schwab's high yield dividend growth style ETF, which focuses on consistent gains and consistent dividend return growth. In today's video, we're going to be going over how anyone with a relatively small initial investment could end up making more than their current salary through SCHD dividend payments. So here we are at our dividend calculator, and we're going to be plugging in some information about SCHD, such as the fact that SCHD compounds quarterly. You get quarterly dividend payments, and the annual dividend yield is about 3.74%. For this example, we will be using an initial investment of $25,000, and we will contribute nothing annually. It is still possible to make these incredible gains even if you don't contribute anything at all. So after the first year of being invested in SCHD, our $25,000 initial investment really does not look all that impressive. After the first year, our dividend growth will only be about $930 at that 3.74 dividend yield that we spoke about earlier. And that's with contributing absolutely nothing that year. It seems, like I said, it seems a little bit discouraging. It's not really all that much. You could potentially make more than this in a high yield savings account, but that's not what we want here. We're after long-term growth and compounding. And as you can see here, time and compounding is how we exponentially grow this investment into something that we could potentially live off of in the future. So since SCHD is a high yield dividend ETF, the main characteristic being high yield dividend income, we want to make sure that DRIP is turned on in our portfolio for the maximum growth. DRIP stands for Dividend Reinvestment Program, and this means that all of the 3.74% or whatever the annual dividend yield is at the time, all of that money that is received will automatically be reinvested into SCHD in this case. So that's how SCHD becomes a compounding giant, and that's how our long-term goals are easily met with such a low starting principle. So now that we know what our portfolio will look like after 10 years, let's wait another 10 years and check on it at year 20. At year 20, our annual dividend income for the year will have grown to $18,500, pushing $20,000 a year in dividend income is, I think, crazy. I mean, that's awesome. For doing absolutely nothing, this annual income almost surpasses our initial investment, and I think that's just amazing. Over here, our cumulative amount of dividends earned is over $100,000. So that's an insane amount of money to be reinvested. All of this money has bought more shares of SCHD, continuing that compounding, continuing that growth. We'll scroll up. Right here, we can see that the first 20 years is somewhat level, but around year 20 is when we begin to really see the exponential growth of this stock. So let's not be discouraged about that first year. Let's do what we planned on doing, and let's completely forget about this investment, basically. We don't plan on adding any more money to the portfolio position, so let's just totally forget about it. In 10 years, the dividend income yield will have increased to about 6.7%, and that's where the compounding comes in. Just the dividend yield will outgrow inflation. So basically just our dividend income cancels out inflation, not including yield on cost or annual growth of the stock. So at this point, our new balance is about $51,000, and we're making about $3,200 in dividends annually. Once again, this doesn't seem like much, but this is where compounding kicks in. At this point, we've made over $18,000, and every bit of that has been reinvested into SCHD to buy more shares, to compound, to build growth. So let's assume that time is still on your side and you give it another 10 years. That puts this investment at 30 years old. Once again, we started with $25,000 and we added absolutely nothing to our investment. $25,000 after 30 years has now turned into almost $1 million. We have $991,000 that we've made from $25,000 to doing absolutely nothing. $892,000 of that $991,000 was earned through dividend payments. That just shows the true power of SCHD and its high yield dividend income. At this point, the dividend yield would probably be around 25% of the total share annually. That is just a crazy number. And at that point, the dividend yield percentage has always and will continue to basically cancel out inflation. So at this point, 30 years has passed and we've made almost $1 million from our $25,000 initial investment. We've added absolutely nothing to this, and at this point, we're making $216,000 per year through dividend annual income specifically. The average salary for a person is only a little less than $64,000 per year. So with our initial $25,000 investment, we've managed to accumulate enough money to earn a dividend payment per year that is almost 3 times the average salary in America. So in 30 years, with our annual contribution being about $12,000, our annual dividend income will be well over $1.3 million per year. I think that's just an insane number. I mean, that's amazing. $25,000 initial start, $1,000 a month for 30 years has turned into well over $6 million, making you $1.3 million per year. And you can see in these last 5 years how insane the compounding starts to get. At year 25, we made $336,000 per year, which is still crazy, much more than the annual salary of the average person. But then in the next year, it jumps by over $100,000. And then the next year, well over $100,000. And then we compound all the way up to $1.3 million of annual dividend income in 30 years. You could easily keep holding on to that if time's on your side. You could easily add more to your position monthly or yearly or whatever. But I made this video just to show you guys that it is truly possible and it is very easy to begin your dividend investing. And it is pretty easy to be able to live off of these dividends, which is crazy. And in this case, if you have time, patience, and all that, not just live off of dividend income, but you could potentially thrive off of dividend income. So we've met our goals. We invested $25,000 and we did nothing for 30 years. And now we make 3 times the annual average salary of a person. That's doing pretty well. I think that's awesome. But let's say we want to exceed our goals and we want to put in a little bit of effort and contribute annual amounts to our portfolio. It doesn't have to be much. Anything will continue to help this portfolio grow exponentially, any amount. But for this example, let's say we do about $1,000 per month or $12,000 per year. We'll go ahead and hit calculate, and that $900,000 investment doing nothing jumps to over $6 million for very minimal effort. $1,000 per month basically changes your ending balance after 30 years by about 6 times, increases it by about 6 times. So it's insane what a little bit of money can do on top of your initial investment. That's how we truly see compound growth. It's the same here. You see the curves truly start to curve up around the 20-year mark. This is where we start to see some more exponential growth. But at this point, our average annual return is about 9.63%, and our total return over the 30 years is almost 1,500%, which is insane. I hope that this video provided lots of motivation for anyone who is currently investing or potentially will be investing in the future. As we know, and as this video shows you, investing in something early on or at any point and just sticking to the plan can truly be life-changing potentially. Thank you all for your time. I really appreciate everything, and we'll see you all in the next video.